Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Midwest Whitetail After Hours podcast, presented to you by Hoyt Archery. My name is Jason Science. Today is Friday, November the 19th. I believe this is episode 15. We've got Max, Mike, and Jared. We got a thin crew tonight, guys. Who's got the best story? Who wants to go first?
I want to hear how the hunting was today. Who was out today? I was working.
I went out for an hour this morning and did not hunt the rest of the day.
Wow. What happened in that hour?
Nothing. I feel
way to go with the effort, Jared.
Yeah,
I got nothing.
You're sounding defeated, my friend.
I feel like Marshawn Lynch in his press conference. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Where's your Skittles?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's been the old ride on the struggle bus continues over here. It's been rough. I mean, we've gotten close a couple times. Like I said, I didn't hunt tonight. We've got a couple close calls in the last few days, but it's been the season of no breaks. Just can't catch a break. It's always something. And I mean, most of you guys know what the story on and around the properties I hunt has been this year. And you go into a season with 4 or 5 target bucks in mind, and by midpoint of the season, they're all dead, or at least have been shot at, maybe not dead yet, but literally all the top 4 or 5 bucks. And so it's just kind of forced you to adjust, try to find new bucks. And then, bucks are properties you didn't prepare for in the summer or the off season, and the struggles of trying to figure those out. So it's been tough, but we're still grinding it out when we can, when we get the good conditions. Got pretty much one target right now that I've been having some close calls with, but just trying to be smart about it and trying to figure out how to hunt him and all that without experience where he's living, and just the swirling winds and all that stuff that's challenging about that property. So we're still going, but I feel like Max and I should probably just start our own podcast, and can be like a little support group type thing. let the guys that can kill deer be on this podcast.
Is that buck still pretty active? I know I missed the last podcast, unfortunately, but I know you guys were talking about lockdown, and you were talking about how active he had been. Is he still pretty active for you?
He was active for a stretch of like 3-4 days, and I haven't seen him in a while now. So, but he's really good at avoiding cameras. Like even when we were encountering him, we weren't getting any pictures of him.
Sure.
So it's hard to go just off of cameras, because, like I said, it's not covering anything. So it's tough, and it's property where there's very few spots you can hunt with visibility, unless you're on the ground looking underneath all the pine trees or something. But even then, you're still pretty limited. You just have to focus on the little openings, and the little openings is where the wind's just a vortex.
Yeah. So
trying to figure out what we can creatively do to get close to them in there. My assumption, this time of year, you just kind of assume that when you don't see him for a period of time, he's with a doe. Could be wrong. He could have moved off the property, but hopefully he'll pop back in there in a few days.
Yeah. Seems likely.
We'll stay after it, but other than that, I don't got much.
Max?
I don't.
Do you need a box of Kleenex?
Yeah, Max. Here's a shoulder, buddy.
Man, I don't even know. It's so tough for me right now. I'm like, I tell everybody I come in contact with, and I'm constantly telling Jared and Mike, like, I just love what I get to do. Like, I get messages all the time, like, man, you're living the life. And so it's hard for me to sit on here and gripe. Like, when I was on the ride home tonight, I was like ready to drive off a bridge. I'm like, man, there are a million people that would kill to be where I'm at. So that's my soapbox is before I gripe, I'm thankful for the opportunity, but now I'll gripe.
Yeah, this is the part I want to hear. I don't care about that other stuff.
So over the last, like, I've had several targets. I mean, Grant and I started out this year with that big drop tine deer we call Eddie. He was pretty active in the summer. We had picked up some new permission with some giants that were, man, they were super active, and they've all I haven't had a picture of any of maybe the 10 deer I'd really like to get a look at or get an arrow at, except for this one that I'm calling Grandpa, just a super ancient. It's a sweet deer. Like, he's got character points. He's all scarred up. I got a picture of him or something where I think he's missing an eye. Like, he just looks like a warrior. He's a sweet deer. And I've now moved Grandpa into position prime suspect number 1 because he's just all over. And so Grant and I encountered him probably, like, I don't know, it's probably been a week now. So I've hunted, I haven't hunted so terribly hard this past week. Just been taking a couple of days off with the high winds. So today I made my claim that I was killing Grandpa today, and I texted Mike, and I was talking to Jared, and I was like, he's going down. And so I made my move in to where this deer is like the most homebody deer I've ever seen. I saw him this morning. See, I got in pretty early, so it cracked daylight at like 6:20. So I saw him at 7:00. Coming out of where I figured he's spending a lot of time coming out. Probably was at 40 yards at one point, no shots or anything.
He was by himself this morning.
Just by himself coming out of this draw to my east. So he's working to the west. There's a creek in between us, but there's like 1,000 heavy crossings. So he's at 40 yards. I didn't want to do anything. I just want to see what he's going to do. And he's just meandering. And so I let him get, 60 yards with some stuff in between us. And I just barely touched the grunt call. I've just barely, and he 180'd right back to where he was standing at that crossing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's going to come right in. He stood at that crossing for 4 or 5 minutes. And I didn't know until looking back at the footage this afternoon that he might have caught a little bit of wind. It was still early before the thermals were really rising, which I was really banking on today because we had a really hard frost that we've talked about several times on the podcast. Now those thermals are killer those kind of days, but they just hadn't quite started. So he may have got something. He kind of turned and walked off, and I just knew he walked back into where I saw him come from, which is this tiny little draw. So I told my cameraman as soon as he walked off, I said, you just stay ready. We're going to see him again. We're going to see him. And 40 minutes later, here the Joker comes back out. So I see him again. This is probably 8:00. Same deal. I tried to snort rees at him this time after he's in a different spot. And he looked my way, and he just couldn't care less. He trotted off. I think he saw another deer in the distance. So that's 8:00 encounter number 2. 9:00, I see him again, except somehow he made this enormous loop to where he's like behind me now. I don't know how he got there. See him again, didn't call. I just don't like calling repeatedly at him. He knows where he's now heard a grunt and a snort rees from right there. And so I just let him be. He meandered off again. And so I sat pretty late this morning. One of the latest. I've sat till at least 11 this morning. I didn't have another sighting of him. So I get down, go home, and I'm like, your gut's just telling you got to go back. He's not really spooked, and he's in there, and he's where I left him the last time. He's in this tiny little draw again. So at 2:00, I'm walking in. I use this little creek for access, and it's awesome. Like, it's super deep, way over your head. The ditches, and the creek's just ankle deep, so you're just nice and quiet walking in. And you only have to pop up the bank and walk 5 steps. And I always pop up and look around, and I didn't see anything. I popped up as soon as I got my whole body up. 2 does stand up, and Grandpa is like under my tree. Like,
Oh no.
like, are you serious? Like, there's no way. You're up and on
he
the
came
ground.
check out that snort wheeze.
He was waiting for you to come back.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even know like what's going on. Like he's not even looking at me. The does are looking at me, and he's looking at the does. Just like one of those. He's with them. He's trying not to lose sight of them. They take off right back into that tiny little draw, and here he goes in there. And I'm like, I'm like, do I leave? I'm like, I don't know. He's in that draw. He didn't see him. His tail wasn't up. He just was with them. He didn't even really run. They kind of ran, and he just followed him out. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever.
Old decrepit blind deer.
This joker's missing an eye. He doesn't know nothing. So I'm like, we're getting in this tree. Like, we're gonna see him.
You should have just followed him in there, Max.
The night plays out, and I didn't have another sighting through the hunt. And I climb down, and I take my creek out. So I'm at encounter number 4 for the day. I'm climbing. We get out my creek, and we're probably 400 yards from my tree. And we're walking out. It's like pitch black, and I just kind of look up skyline, and I see a doe, and I'm like, I don't know how they got there without me seeing them. And I'm like, that's not good. And I see another doe. I'm like, that's really not good. Maybe 25 yards away from me, Grandpa is standing there, skyline at my truck. Oh my gosh!
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, right?
The 2 does take off. Grandpa and me just had a 45-second stare down that ended with him blowing repeatedly. I'm like, unlocking my truck, and that's what's backlighting from where I can see it. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Oh, it's good. Oh man.
I think,
Max, what have you done to the universe that have
Seriously,
you heard of karma
man.
before?
I feel like I'm a pretty good person.
That's a conversation me and my cameraman have been having like every day. Like, dear gods, what did we do? What did we do to deserve this?
Like I've now climbed down out of a sit early to take awesome pictures for Mike, like to come celebrate. Like, I'm doing it right, I think. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you.
And the part that's killing me right now is that, like, the deer is not like. I mean, he's a cool deer, and I would definitely love to wrap my tag around him. But now I'm like, now I gotta kill him. Like, I just hate it. Now
It's nice to have an active, mature buck. I mean, right now, this is like the mental battle that you face hunting this time of the season. I mean, you slow hunt after slow hunt after slow hunt. No, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, that there's a doe in heat. There's a mature buck. He likes that spot. He's active in that spot. You know, I don't think you have much to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 20 days. I get a picture of him every day somewhere in there. And now I've seen him 5 times a day in a football field. Like, those ran off, but they ran off earlier, and he was daylight as heck. So I'm like, I don't know. I might go back in and just.
They like their spot, you know. I mean, you can go back and forth about that, but this time of year is the one time of year where you can like blow them out and they'll just go right back in there. You know, you'll have pictures of them again tomorrow, but.
Can you hang and hunt and do something different than what you've been doing?
Yeah, I definitely am not going back to that tree. I don't like that I called out him twice, and I don't like how he got to my truck and I didn't see him. I don't like that at all.
Oh, sleep in the stand.
I mean, that's the second time I've seen that deer. If I just sat in the bed of my truck, I would have got him.
Well,
maybe that's what you should do.
I bet your video would go viral.
Yeah.
Especially if your truck was running and going down the road or something. That'd be...
I left that life when I left the South.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know if anybody, I'm trying to think. I'm not sure anybody's ever seen their target 5 times in a day, in the course of a day. Maybe like zigging and zagging 5 times, but these are like almost an hour in between each time. This is unbelievable.
Yeah. He's in there, man.
He spent daylight to dark in football field, and I never killed him, which is impressive.
It really is. I mean, the Vegas odds on that had to be in your favor.
And then you go back the 2 hours you were gone, and he's like under your tree.
Yeah, I left him. I gave him 2 hours between the last night
and he made it in.
And in those, I was only gone for 2 hours today, and in that, or 3 hours, and in that time, he decided he'd pick a nice spot to lay down under my flipping tree.
Unbelievable, man! Think of that footage.
Ridiculous.
How have your cameras been doing? Like I've noticed, not being out in the woods the last 2 days. You know, Big Mac, Patient X, the Daggers buck, the Big 8. I mean, all these deer that I've kind of been talking about. I've had pictures of all of them you started or seeing what you guys talked about last time, like all of a sudden they were gone for 5 or 6 days, moving around again. And at least it seemingly on some of my farms, they're on their feet, they're working scrapes. I mean, I got one buck both sides of the river, just seemed like a big uptick in activity. I know we kind of had a front push through good weather, but mature bucks on camera anyway. I got one 4-year-old that I filmed early in alfalfa, that kind of big frame deer. I mean, I think he got in front of every single camera in the last 24 hours. I mean, just moving around a ton on the home farm. So
yeah, I think I've seen it definitely in the last 24 hours. Like this morning when I looked through the pictures of last night, I had a couple that I hadn't seen in, man, probably nearing 2 weeks now.
Yeah. So hang in there, I mean, this next week, don't give up yet.
Yeah, I'm not throwing in the towel yet. I think I didn't, like I said, I didn't know if I really want to shoot this deer. I honestly was trying to get one of the interns to go with me that wanted to shoot him, because I'm like, he'd be a great, I mean, he's a tank, but now he's dying. Like,
yeah. It's hard to beat a deer that's that mature. I mean, I've seen the trail camera pictures of him. He just looks super mature, and it's just, that's really cool if you can take him down,
I think he lost his right eye in the last 48 hours because there was blood dripping out of it. Like I'll have to show you, the footage would be cool if I can get a clip to you guys. It was probably, the real feel was like 19 degrees and we had a hard frost. His entire body was frosted and his scars, like he looked terrible. And I was like, man, this is sweet.
That's very cool.
Yeah. He's been holding down that draw for a few years now.
Yeah. Fighting off the cattle in there, I guess.
You better not put any dose in on you.
Yeah. We'll see.
Oh man.
Well, we don't have Owen tonight. He obviously put one down and is tagged out. So Mike, why don't you tell us the Dak story?
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it really. I was shooting chubs last Wednesday. I worked Thursday, Friday. I came down and hunted the river farm Saturday morning and had actually a really nice hunt last Saturday, and no mature bucks, but lots of deer moving. And then I was kind of just checking out my little farm, seeing if I could see daggers, filmed a nice 4-year-old. And I went back to work, and I ended up having a little window. Wednesday was the only day this week that I might have been able to get out, and I had some stuff scheduled that opened up, and so I was able to get the tree. And it was sort of funny. I was sitting there contemplating what I should do and where to go sit, and not that motivated in the middle of the lockdown to go anywhere in particular. I kind of thought back to 2017, November 17th, and Marino walking under us when you and I were in the pinch that year, sitting together, and he kind of tromps through, and everyone thought we were crazy for passing him a second time that year. And I thought, I don't know, nostalgia, old time's sake, I'll go sit in the pinch again. It's such a great spot. When I think about lockdown and catching a mature buck between does, it's about as good a spot as any to catch one just walking from one doe area to another. And so we decided to slip in there Wednesday morning, and pretty slow hunt. I mean, we had 2 bucks walk in together not too long after daylight, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. That broken G2 buck. And the one in front of him was a younger 10 that had a bad limp. So Rye got all excited. He was like, there was a limp coming, and we were all out of sorts that morning. I couldn't get my coffee pot to work. So man, it was a disaster. I was banging on it here in the cabin for 30 minutes, and I didn't have my fuel. So I left my phone at the house. We got out there. I'm talking to Rye. I'm like, man, I'm out of sorts. I left my binos in the truck. So we get up in the stand. I got my range finder. So I've got the old monocle. I see a deer and I'm like trying to see what it is coming in with the whole monocle. I know the GoPro is going to look just awesome because he's like, there's a deer, there's a buck coming, and I'm like, I can't, it's 2X, or whatever it is on the range. But, I can tell it's a young buck, just heard a front paw, but that was about it all the first couple hours. And I spotted one young buck way off in the distance. It looked like he was just hanging out in the bedding area. And we were just sitting there talking, and I heard leaves crunching. And I look back, and it's kind of this area where in the center, there's one area where there's like a real thick line of maple trees. And deer like to walk. It's like the edge of the slough. And, I could tell there was a deer coming from there, but I couldn't see what it was. And I just glimpsed the right antler. I could tell. I was like, man, that looks like a shooter. I just told Ryan, get on him. I'm facing the tree. I'm facing my cameraman. We're talking about life, I guess. It's something. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but spun around, grabbed the bow. I looked back over my shoulder after I did a 180, and I immediately, the deer's head is down. He's probably 45 yards. And I'm like, it's Dak, and Dak's the deer that, if I had to pick one to shoot out there, it'd be him. 3 encounters with him last year. I probably put, I don't know, 20 plus sits in for him last year, and had him at 50 yards twice. And, lo and behold, he's just kind of walking right in, and he stopped at 30. That wind was westerly, but it would kick a little north every now and again. And I was like, man, I didn't know if he got our wind. He kind of stopped and he hesitated. I didn't have a shot. He was facing us. And I just was like, I didn't know if he saw us turning around. And then he just started walking again. And he just comes straight into, I don't know. I said it was 10 yards. Max said it was 7. He's like, it was under the tree. And this set is 35 feet up or so. It's definitely way up there. So actually a little bit of a challenging shot, that angle and that close. But yeah, he stopped on his own, just kind of sniffing the ground. And I was able to, put it right in the boiler room. And he didn't make it very far. So, you put all that work in for Chubbs, or you put all those sits in for Dak last year. And then really I just like, oh, I got off today. And I went sit out there, and it's locked down and we're not seeing very much. But he was by himself, just walking through the pinch, and walked in 10 yards. So about as beautiful as you can ask for, and, made a good shot on him. And I was able to come back, and the kids are homeschooling right now because of COVID at their school. And so I said, homeschool's over, and we loaded all the kids up in the car and were able to go track them up. And it was pretty fun to get my daughters on the blood trail. And I almost had to put, the reins on them because they were just like blood, 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 blood. I'm like, whoa, we're trying to film it. And so it's pretty cool. My 2 oldest daughters just like, without blinking, tracked right to him. I think he made it about 80 yards or so, but it was a cool experience. Got the boys out there. That was their first track job. All the guys. It's really fun to, that deer is probably all summer. I talked about Chubbs, but I mean, the other deer I was talking about was Dak, and just, I think that history with him and being defeated last year, it felt really good to get him down.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. Thanks.
It was so interesting that he just didn't seem to be as active this year as he was last year in there. And I don't know where he was spending his time at. Mike, I told you I pulled cars today, and there was a single picture of him going in that morning, like 5 a.m., going in from the South Plot into the peninsula. So he was there. But for the most part this year, he's been very, very sporadic, and mostly nighttime. Like, I don't know if we had more than 1 or 2 daytime pictures of him the entire season.
Yeah.
And so it's been like, where is he spending his time? It was nothing like last year. Last year, like once you got back in there during the prime of the season, you almost expected to at least see him or have an encounter with him. And it wasn't like that this year. So it was, awesome that he was in there that day, but it was just kind of strange. You're starting to wonder where he was at this year.
No, I think it was almost luck. I mean, because when he was a 4-year-old, he was in there all the time. I don't know how many times you filmed him when he was a 4-year-old, and I filmed him. And, last year I was like, well, he's going to do the same thing. He's on the hit list. We're going to shoot him, and he last year he'd go in, like, it seemed like 4 or 5 days. He was in there. He was daylight. He was active, then he might disappear for 4 or 5 days. I don't know if he was locked with the door, if he was going off the farm, but then he'd be back in there. And so there was definitely, like you said, you had a lot more confidence. And I think I said that in my opening interview. Actually, I was on that morning hunt. I was like, I'm in here. I mean, Dak's the deer I want to see, but he's just not been active on the farm. I mean, you saw him the one time, which I was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, he's in daylight out in the willows in late October. And I was like, sweet, hopefully he was moved in and he's in for good, and we're going to get him down. And then it's like, you get an occasional midnight photo of him. And so I definitely wasn't in that hunt like with a bunch of confidence. I mean, I was like, you going in, you're sort of going to make a sit in the area that it could happen in, but I wasn't overly confident. But it just happened to be the right day. I mean, there was a couple days where we weren't in there, where we got a daylight picture of him. It's like, had we sat that day, we might have shot him. It's just kind of like putting your time in, basically, and it just lucked out. I mean, the stars aligned, and you didn't have to try, really. I mean, he just walked to the tree. It's like, it sort of feels good when that happens. But
we talked about last week that there's so much luck involved in all this. I think as a hunting community, we make out all, certain people to be these great hunters, and we always try to make reasons for things, but the reality is there's a ton of luck. And granted, there are things you can do to up your odds. There are, I mean, especially with the involvement of technology and the level of technology involved in hunting in these days with cameras and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of factors that are out of your control, and it's just right place, right time. And, sometimes you're on the right end of it. Sometimes you're on the wrong end of it, but it's like you said, it's pretty sweet when you're on the right end of it.
Yeah. I mean, it feels good. I mean, we create our luck in that we put a lot of time in, we put a lot of work in food, and we try to let them get to age. But then when it actually comes time to kill them, I mean, they got to walk within bow range, and the spots that maybe the spot that you might be able to pinch them down, but there's so much of that. And I wasn't on last week's podcast with the lockdown discussion, and so it was kind of funny. I listened to it a couple days ago, and how there was a discussion about, is it worth even going out? And then it was kind of funny to see. I think that's Owen's, first buck in his career in this sort of time frame.
Yeah.
And
15th to the 20th, he texted me.
Yeah. I would have liked to have him on tonight and have him, talk about that, like how that's pretty neat. And I think my hunt tonight is basically, or my hunt on Wednesday when I shot Dak it's basically classic, like slow hunt, just slow hunt. You're in a pinch funnel area, and you got a mature buck break, and there's a window of time that he's walking around before he finds his next doe, and lo and behold, we cross paths. But that's actually my fourth. I think I was counting them up the other day when I was listening to the podcast. I think I've killed 3 bucks on the 14th and 15th in Iowa since I've lived here since 2009. And I think some of that is my time to hunt. Like I was hunting weekends when I was in residency, and I just, if I didn't kill them last weekend of October and that first week in November, I was still out. And I managed to catch up with some bucks over time. But this one felt a little more lucky. I mean, the stars aligned for me to get out anyway, and then this one deer that went to shoot walks out of the stand. So pretty awesome.
He's an awesome deer. Did you put a tape on him that night when you got home?
Yeah, he's right at 170. That's awesome, with his broken. It's interesting because he lost. I mean, he's a bit smaller from last year. I mean, I don't have his left shed. But I'd guess he's 6 or 7 inches smaller than last year. I think that he broke off that big long base point, which is probably 4 inches, and he broke off a little bit of that right G4. So I'd say he probably broke off 4 to 5 inches. But last year I kind of had him, I thought 178-ish, and I think when we found the shed, I might have thought he might have been a little bit bigger than that. But I have his right shed, and he had his beam last year was like 28 3/8. Wow. And this year it was 26 7/8, I believe. It was right at 27. So he lost an inch and a half just on the beam.
Yeah.
And then I think he lost a couple scorables. He always had like short 4s and 5s. I mean, he's always been like a really big 8-pointer basically. And he lost some of those 4s and 5s, but grew the base point. So I don't know. He's probably within 5 inches of last year, but definitely it was interesting to see him lose like an inch and a half on the beam. Yeah. But just really, I mean, just a cool deer. I mean, kind of a lopsided 8-pointer, big frame, and 6.5-year-old. I got the match set off him from when he's 4.5, and then that big right side. It's just cool. I mean, it's just awesome to get a deer like that. I mean, it's sort of what we live for. So
it was so cool. I don't think I've got to be a part of one on the river farm yet. And that's my 3rd year. I wasn't there. I was out of town when Jared shot Andrew Luck. I was with you when we missed Marino, but it was cool for me, even like with you tracking him, to see like he walking past the Gronk stand, like where he pretty much died on impact of where you shot Gronk, and Gronk is always been that deer for me that just, I just remember that. It's just awesome. I remember the first time I got to see him my intern year at your house. I was like, it's so cool. That river farm is so special. I think everybody's really going to love that. The hunt's awesome, but the history with that deer, that's a special place. It was cool to be a part of that.
That's definitely what makes it. Yeah, Jared, he basically, he wheeled around to go back from the peninsula, and I lost him. He got in that grass patch, and then I kind of lost him, but I lost him because, he went down. And so when we tracked him, basically he died right where I stopped Gronk and shot him when we were hunting there that day, right under that little oak, basically. Yeah, right there on the riverbank. So
I got glad he didn't jump in the river.
Look, man,
he was going right for it, and it was that was probably the most impressive blood trail. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So that angle, I aimed at his almost off of his body. So 7 yards, 35 feet up, I aimed at the bottom edge of his body, at his brisket, and it entered mid-mast and came out just to the left side of his sternum. So just on the bottom of his body. And holy moly, that blood trail was just awesome. It just everywhere. It was just wonderful. Great for the kids. But yeah, when where he ran, and he's running hard, and I'm like, statistically, he's not going to go in the river. But of course, it's the first thing I thought. And Rye's like,
right at it.
Rye was like, should we get down and go check? I'm like, because I want to, I don't want to go find them before we get the cameras there. I want it to be I don't want to do it twice. I want to recreate or anything. But I'm like, part of me is like, I guess I could just run to the river and glass it, make sure he's not floating away. But I was like, no way he went there. No way he went there. But yeah, we joked about it. We joked about it for sure. I said, if he tumbled down, he's probably just kind of caught right there. Let's go get Jared's Kubota. Maybe that we can winch him out of there. And then I found out the winch was broken.
It wasn't broke until you guys took it. It was working before.
Grant!
I gave Grant a hard time tonight about that because he never told me. And then I went to take it out today, and Gavin goes, "Oh yeah, I heard about your winch." I'm like, "What's wrong with my winch?" Sure enough, it's broken.
I wonder if it broke on the drive over, because when they pulled in, I said
it was frayed, and I quit using it. I was just strapping it down with a big ratchet strap. But I think Grant probably was like, "Oh, just winter down," and it probably broke.
Winter down.
I go. But he didn't tell me. Gavin had to tell me, and so I called Grant tonight. I'm like, "Dude, are you gonna tell me you broke my winch?"
I didn't realize that happened. I just when I was talking about the winch, I look over and we're unhooking the trailer gate, and I'm like, the winch hook is in the back of the Kubota, and I was like, oh no, but I didn't realize that it just happened. Grant was keeping that quiet. He was
I
said, well, Grant texted me and said, "I'm not going to be on the podcast tonight," and I said, "That's fine. You're already on my crap list anyways." He goes, "Why?" I go, "Well, first of all, you didn't tell me you broke my winch, and second of all, you posted some teaser picture on social media today, which has resulted in thousands of messages to my phone asking if I shot Marino, because it was all I said was River Farm Legend goes down." And I was about to throw my phone in the river because I'm so tired of getting these texts all day long. And so I said, "I'm not happy with you right now."
It's brutal. It's like rubbing salt in the wounds.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just I was just so tired. I was about to make a public post I did not shoot a deer. I was just so tired of responding to text messages. And
oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh, good times. Good times.
Oh, Grant.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool to have him down. I don't know. It's makes up a dream season right there in a week, So it's like you said, the luck that makes it sway one way or the other.
Yep.
So I have I haven't hunted a ton this week just because of the winds and of course today was a busy day just preparing for the gun deer season that opens tomorrow, and we try to lay off the farm the day before that. But I've gotten it's interesting to hear you guys talk about all the pictures that you've gotten. I've just gotten random pictures of Gumby at 1, 2, 12 o'clock, in the evening or morning, just out in the cornfield eating. And I'm not getting him anymore on the travel corridor, if you will, that I had him on. Although he's still in relatively the same area. I got a few sporadic, I guess, what was a pretty much a regular occurrence to get him on camera there for 2 or 3 weeks has become really an anomaly. He doesn't show up very often, and when he does, it's out in that cornfield, and who knows where he's coming from, but I'm assuming he's still living in the same area. He's acting so much like this deer that one of the partners that I have in the lease, we called them wires. It was 186 inch with a drop tine that he kind of hunted all year last year, and this deer is acting just crazy like that deer did last year. And I don't know if it's a product of their environment and just the way that they use that terrain there, that they're acting similar, because I don't, it's got to be something related to that, because it's not like they could talk to each other and find out what to do. Like,
they
hey,
saw you.
How'd you pull this off?
They're telling each other what to do.
Right. Well, he's dead. As a matter of fact, I held on to him. I held on to his antlers tonight. Yeah, that deer didn't get killed last year until the Saturday after Thanksgiving with the gun. I didn't go out. And Chad's a relatively new hunter. And we're like, don't go to that cornfield in the dark, because you're going to blow everything out of there. So he doesn't talk to any of us, which is perfectly fine. But he goes and sneaks in there that Saturday morning. I didn't even hunt, but it was super cold, and he snuck in there at like 4:30 in the morning. And then it was in a box blind, and he slept for an hour and ended up killing the deer at like 6:45. He came out, and it was very, very random. But the one constant, which has been a constant with Gumby this year, that they constantly are using that cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can hope for at this point is some really cold weather, and hope that he gets on his feet and has to feed, or he's getting yanked around by a doe that's going out there.
Yeah.
But I'll be able to reach out and touch him for the next 18 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So it should be an interesting couple of weeks here.
Your transition to food should be, I mean, if you're a week ahead of us or 5 days ahead of us, they should, I guess that's sort of getting ready to happen, huh?
I would say, yeah. I mean, everything that I saw and any hunt that I had here recently was, when we had Bill on, the night that we had Bill on, I think I had come off of a hunt where I had seen a lot of bucks, but no interest in does. But that said, they were all immature deer. There was not a mature deer in the field that I can remember. Yeah, definitely not. We did pick up, on the other hand, a new buck. I'll call it a bonus. I sent Jared the video. He's a giant. I mean, wouldn't you say, Jared?
Yeah, he's a really good deer.
Yeah, I don't know where he came from. I wouldn't have been able to sleep all year if I knew that thing was anywhere close.
Awesome.
I was just like, it just stopped me dead in my tracks when I was looking through the pictures. I'm like, what? Where did this thing come from?
Yeah, you sent it. I was like, I sat there and looked at it. I watched the video like 5 times, like, what deer is that? And then finally I just replied, I'm like, all right, what deer is, I can't keep track of all your big deer. And you're like, I don't know what deer it is.
Yeah.
He's huge, and no, of course, no one knows anything about it anywhere around there. But the
Until you
odd part
shoot him,
about
then everyone will know.
right,
Like, oh, I was hunting that deer.
Oh
the,
man, that's fun. Yeah.
yeah, the odd part about it, or the neat part about this lease is on the far east and south side. It's pretty much bordered by little lakes. So in order for him to get there, he would have had to have come all the way across the marsh. And you could see on his he was all the way up to the knees basically in mud. Um,
Whoa.
and I think he came through at like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, just right past that same stand that I bleeded at that buck. You can see the ladder in the picture. It's just kind of hilarious, but
Got to stop hunting them mallards, I guess.
yeah, it was a good week for that.
I just
Yeah.
got my
Now's the time to shoot those random cruisers. Those new bucks. You get the mystery bucks down and save Gumby for later.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's a great possibility because we've got the food. I mean, we've got I think a total of 17 acres of standing corn or 15 acres of standing corn.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, so I really will legitimately have good hunting until probably January whatever when it closes January 5th, 8th, something like that. And we our collective area does a good job of not buggering up a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's not, nobody's out driving deer or anything like that. So there's every bit of a chance to kill them in the late season as it is or as it was earlier. So
Cool.
yeah.
Got Max.
I just got my nightly transmission of photos. I spooked him at 5:30, and at 5:40 he's back under my tree. And then
That's awesome. Go shoot him. Oh man.
My cameras. I was kind of getting worried. Which is I
hadn't seen him in an hour. I was starting to get worried.
No. I dialed back my transit. I just get too anxious when I see pictures. I don't like it. So I put them to where I put them to where I only get once a day. So I just got the picture. I got down at 11:20. At 11:38, he bedded with that doe under me.
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
Unbelievable.
He watched you walk out. I was like, all right,
let's go get in the bed where we want it to be.
So,
man,
my goodness.
My goodness.
Max, let me know if you want to start hunting together. Like maybe 2 negatives might be a positive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way. I'll see him 11 times tomorrow. Will I get a shot? No way.
Come on, you will too. So,
I guess that's what I'll end my spiel on is what's the general consensus of the advice? He walked under that tree. It's already pre-hung too. I won't have to make any noise. That's tempting.
Just make smart decisions and don't do anything stupid and go in there on the wrong wind and think you're gonna.
What's the picture you got tonight? What's he doing? Is he like working a scrape or just walking by or what's he doing?
Fence crossing, a little thing by himself.
I just got my pictures.
Yeah, Max, if there's any time of year where you could go back and, if he didn't look up and see you in the tree or whatever, I mean, sometimes we overthink stuff. I mean, you're right. You go in there and bang around and hang a set in the dark and push them out of there because you're making too much noise. I mean, I think that it's reasonable to go in the tree you had. I realize you called to him and I realize you came out of the creek and spooked him, but that's a thick area and they like to walk through there and there's some kind of funnel action there. I mean, those does are gonna, you probably conditioned them to your presence now, so that's good.
They're
like, oh, that's just Max. He's just taking pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a classic example though of overthinking something. I mean, if it is what it is. If he's there again, clearly you didn't spook him enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. He's still there, so you're fine. I would get in there.
Yeah, just don't leave.
Yeah, exactly. Look,
I honestly thought
there's going to be some comments that say, "Oh, you should have sat all day."
just like what.
Bring
Bill
your snacks, Max.
Yeah,
You hung a stand in his bedroom
I guess so.
on his mattress.
Is that
bring your sleeping bag.
He will be back.
It hurts.
Yeah,
do a Bill Winky. Come on. Yeah.
Or Jared, Mike, are you going out tomorrow?
I might do a little Jason Science duck hunting. I don't know. I'm probably I might go shoot some woodies. I actually shot some woodies the other day. And I don't know. I was thinking about that. I might sleep in. I don't know. I've got my urban tag. I'm not like cutting flips to go hunt in the urban zone. But I guess if there was a time that you could go out and have a good time, it might be now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to hang out with the family. I might make a little hunt. Kat and I were just talking a little while ago about what we're going to do tomorrow. We'll probably do some stuff middle of the day, and I might go shoot some old quackers, and then we'll see.
That's awesome. Jared, are you going out?
I don't know yet. Tomorrow might be a family day for me as well. Kind of tomorrow in the evening, we're definitely going to have some light variable swirling winds. So might wait till Sunday.
It looks like Sunday is supposed to pick back up with some pretty high winds again, that 20 to 30 nonsense.
Don't be scared.
I'll keep being a nice boss and keep letting those interns attack public.
Yeah.
They're both on two different pieces today. They didn't have any cameraman responsibility, so they're going hard.
Getting out. It's a good time to catch up with one.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, you got the right kind of guys then. At least they like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be pulling an all-dayer tomorrow.
Are you?
Well, all-dayer in the respect that I'm getting out sometime between 11 and 1 o'clock, and try and sneak out of there with an 11-year-old, and get out to that cornfield because tonight the cameras were busy from 3 o'clock on. So I'll hunt pretty deep timber tomorrow. We'll get in there at about 5:30 and sit, like I said, till noon, 1 o'clock, and then go out to that field. So
that's exciting, man. Good luck to you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It always is. Anybody got anything else? Max, you got anything else you want to complain about?
No. Grateful I am.
Well, it'll be interesting. So you're going to go back in after him tomorrow?
Yeah, I can really hunt that place well on a south. So we got a southwest. It's kind of pretty light, but we should have. I don't know. I need to look at the weather and see if we'll have any sun to get those thermals going. But I think I'll probably go back in there. He's there right now, so what the heck?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go in there. There's a good week of hunting ahead of you. So
yeah,
stay focused.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get the weather this coming week, aren't we?
Yeah.
I didn't even look at the extended forecast.
I just know it's going to get super cold.
Yeah, I glanced at it a couple of days ago when I think when there was no deer walking under me and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do this weekend and next week. I was looking at the forecast. I haven't looked at it since. So,
all right. Well, we'll expect to hear good things from you, Max.
I'm getting them
tomorrow. All right.
Call me.
I shall.
Good luck to you.
Mike, you gonna go take recovery photos for him?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I at least got some good iPhone ones.
Yeah.
I'll wipe the blood off the deer or do something. I don't know. I'll be as helpful as I can.
Oh, this is going downhill fast.
Yeah. I'm not considered useful, Jason.
You got to keep killing stuff. That's how you get it. I'll handle the pictures.
It's good. It's good. If you need surgery, call me.
Well, grandpa might need some surgery.
Yeah. You can get a buzz cut at least. All right.
Good time. Good talking to you guys.
All right, guys. Have a good one. We're out.
See ya.
See you.